Every single time it stands up, every time it lifts its head after drinking, basic physics demands that its brain shuts down. The blood cannot climb that high. The pressure cannot hold. The system should collapse. And yet, here it is, 6 meters tall, perfectly alive, casually chewing leaves at the top of an acacia tree, as if gravity is simply not its problem. The giraffe is not just the tallest animal on Earth. It is a living hydraulic paradox, a biological impossibility that evolution somehow made work. And the deeper you look into how its body functions, the more your understanding of engineering, medicine, and the limits of life itself begins to shake. Here is what we know. The giraffe's heart generates a blood pressure 2.5 times higher than yours, the highest of any land mammal on the planet. Its heart weighs close to 11 kilograms, with walls so thick they could stop a blade. Every single beat must push blood vertically upward through a neck stretching nearly 2 meters against the full force of gravity, to reach a brain that will die within seconds if the flow stops. But here is where it gets extraordinary. When that same giraffe lowers its head to drink, all of that pressure reverses. Gravity now pulls the entire blood column downward toward the brain at once. In any other animal, that surge would rupture vessels, flood the brain, and cause instant fatal hemorrhage. A giraffe does this several times a day and walks away without blinking.
How does an animal live inside a body that should destroy itself daily? The answer lies in one of the most sophisticated pressure management systems ever produced by natural selection. A hydraulic pump of extraordinary power, a microscopic shock-absorbing network inside the skull, active arterial walls, compression skin on the legs, and a valved vein system on the return journey. 5 layers of biological engineering working in perfect silence. And this system is so remarkable that NASA studied it to design astronaut suits, and cardiologists are rewriting human hypertension treatment based on what they found inside this animal's chest. Stay with us, because by the end of this, you will never look at a giraffe the same way again.
To understand why this system is so remarkable, we first need to feel the full scale of the problem it had to solve. Imagine you are an engineer given a single task. Design a pump that pushes fluid upward through a vertical pipe 2.5 meters tall, continuously, without interruption, for 25 years. The fluid cannot stop, not for 3 seconds, not for 1. Because the moment it does, the machine at the top dies permanently. Now add this. The pipe moves, bends, and swings downward toward the ground multiple times per day. And every time it does, you must prevent the fluid from surging back and destroying the machine you are protecting. That is the exact problem the giraffe's body solves every single day, without maintenance, without failure.
The numbers are staggering. The giraffe's brain sits 2.4 meters above its heart. To push blood upward against that hydrostatic column, the cardiovascular system must overcome gravity at every centimeter of that neck. This is Pascal's law, the same principle governing hydraulic cranes and industrial pumps. The giraffe is not exempt from physics. It is simply better at fighting it than anything else alive. Its systolic blood pressure reaches 280 millimeters of mercury. A healthy human sits at 120. In a human, 280 is a life-threatening emergency. In the giraffe, it is Tuesday morning.
When it bends to drink, vulnerable, exposed for 30 to 60 seconds, gravity now acts with the pump, not against it. The brain, moments ago starved for pressure, is suddenly at risk of being overwhelmed by it. In a human, this is precisely what causes hypertensive stroke. The giraffe performs this movement several times a day and trots away to find its next meal. Every centimeter of neck gained over 8 million years of evolution was another centimeter of hydraulic challenge.
The animals that could not solve it died. The ones that could became the giraffe.
Now, meet the machine at the center of it all. The giraffe's heart is purpose-built for an engineering task with no equivalent in the animal kingdom. 11 kilograms of dense cardiac muscle, wall thickness reaching 7.5 centimeters, 3 times that of a human heart. Every contraction delivers that extraordinary pressure of 280 millimeters of mercury, pushing blood up through 2.5 meters of neck to a brain that demands constant, uninterrupted supply. But here is the paradox. A heart this powerful, without regulation, is just as lethal as no heart at all. Too much pressure at the brain causes the same catastrophic outcome as too little. Vessels rupture, tissue floods, the organ fails. Raw power is only half the equation. The other half is control. Control begins at the carotid artery walls. These walls are dramatically thicker and more muscular than any comparable mammal. They do not simply carry pressure, they actively modulate it. When the head rises, the walls relax slightly, easing flow. When the head drops, they tighten, restricting the surge before it reaches the brain. This is not passive anatomy. This is active, responsive, biological engineering. And then there are 3 additional systems, each solving a different layer of the same impossible problem. The first is hidden inside the skull itself. At the base of the giraffe's brain, the carotid artery dissolves into a dense sponge-like network of hundreds of tiny interconnected vessels. Scientists call it the Rete Mirabile, Latin for wonderful net. When the head drops and pressure surges upward, this network absorbs and diffuses the hydraulic spike across hundreds of channels simultaneously, the way a river delta slows a current by dividing it into countless streams. By the time blood reaches the brain, the pressure has been smoothed, filtered, and rendered safe. The same structure exists in dolphins, protecting them during deep dives. Evolution invented this solution more than once.
The second system is wrapped around the legs. The giraffe's lower limb skin is extraordinarily tight, almost rigid against the underlying tissue. This is functional compression, a biological pressure suit preventing blood from pooling in the extremities under gravitational load. Without it, blood would simply drain downward, stall in the legs, and starve the brain of the supply the heart works so hard to deliver. This is the exact principle behind medical compression stockings, garments surgeons prescribe to post-operative patients and long-haul flight passengers. The giraffe did not read a cardiology textbook, it wrote one. The third system lives inside the jugular vein. As blood descends from the brain back toward the heart, a series of one-way valves prevents backflow and regulates the speed of descent. Combined with the vein walls partially collapsing under external pressure, these valves create a controlled braked return, hydraulic resistance built directly into the drainage pipe. The giraffe genome, sequenced in 2016, revealed unique mutations in genes controlling vessel wall elasticity and cardiac muscle development. Mutations that overlap with human genes associated with resistance to hypertensive heart disease. The giraffe did not just evolve a stronger heart, it evolved a protected one. Researchers are now using these findings to develop new treatment approaches for human hypertension and heart failure.
This animal should be dead. That is where we started, and now you know why it is not. The giraffe did not choose its neck. It simply lived and died and lived again, generation after generation, under the relentless pressure of a body growing taller in a world that never stopped pulling downward. And somewhere in that long, brutal process, nature produced something human engineering is only now beginning to fully appreciate. The next time you see a giraffe lower its head to drink, do not see clumsiness. See precision. See 5 layered systems activating in perfect concert. See 8 million years of pressure management executing flawlessly in under a second.
See what it looks like when evolution refuses to accept that something cannot be done.
If this video taught you something about the giraffe, about biology, about what life is capable of inventing when it has no other choice, then share it. Not for the algorithm, for the person in your life who needs to be reminded that impossible problems sometimes have extraordinary solutions. And if you want to keep exploring the world like this, beneath the surface, where the real answers hide, subscribe. The next video is already waiting for you.